I'd like to welcome everyone who is part of this workshop. It really means a lot, even if it's not a lot of people, at least with the numbers we have, we can at least it's just an honor to know that someone will be watching this and learning from this. So my name is Taleni Longa, and today is not my day to do workshops. Today is Chubo Zeko day. So he'll introduce himself and he can continue from there. I'm out.
All right. Thank you to Taleni. My name is Chubo Zeko, and this is part 3 of the 2D game development with Unity. And I'm just going to round things off on this lesson. So I'll just get to it. So I always put the requirements you need, and we've seen this from the previous ones. So now in the lesson content, we've covered game design and mockups, creating and importing assets, making the game, animations, audio, and music. So today we're gonna cover GUI design and menu management, and we'll round it off with exporting the game. So we'll be doing this final part, number 5 and 6, with the menus and finishing off the game. And we use this color palette, but there are some other colors that you can use and just change up to your creativity. So a few things on refactoring and fixes from the previous lesson. So what I did was I configured the aux. So just the same way we did the cattle, we made the aux and as well as the mammoth. So, and then one thing I wanted to add is more platforms, because we just kind of have it in the one scene. So we would want to maybe make the level much bigger that can cover all around here, right? And we'll add a few gaps in the ground, so that like there's actually a place maybe the player can fall off. And one function we use player on become invisible. So if they fall through the gaps, then they will lose the life. So if we have time, we'll add some of those. All right, so this is just a brief description of the different things we have of collecting lives. We have 3 lives when we begin. We go up to 5 lives. We can pick up more lives, so there'll be collectibles around the level that we can add, and just a different point system. So we'll just have to change a few of the values as we did from the previous lesson. But for now, we're gonna go to the GUI design and main menu management. So before, we only designed the pause menu, which had the resume, restart options, main menu. And we only made the code for the resume, for the pause and unpausing or resuming the game. So we're gonna add the functionality for restart, options, and main menu. And for our game over, we also made those. And they're quite similar. The only difference is their titles. But they will both show the points, show the lives remaining, and the buttons with new game options and main menu. All right. So I'm gonna start today with the main menu, and then we'll connect it from the game itself. So this is how our game is so far, and you can see closest. We have our mammoth here, we have our cattle, and we have our ox, our fire that we collect to finish the game. Of course, we'll move the fire a bit higher just to make it more challenging. But technically, the game functionalities work, so we're gonna go to making the main menu. So to start, we'll go to our assets folder again and create a new folder, and we'll call the folder think menu for now. And oh, actually, we don't need to do that right now. We actually have to create a new scene. So under the scenes, we create scene. And we're gonna create this scene, call it main menu. Alright. So we'll open our scene, and now we're back to normal with how we started at the beginning of the lesson. So we just have to create the different elements like canvas, which contain all the GUI elements. So we're gonna create a canvas, and from the camera properties, we'll just assign the canvas to space camera, and then we grab our camera and put it here for the camera, render camera. So now it fits the screen as it did before. We also have to change this to scale with screen size. I think the screen size we had was 1024 by 576. We'll verify that later on. And everything will just, I'll expand here, and I'll just leave the rest. So I'm going to create a panel for the main menu. Create, we'll find panel here, and we'll just use, I think I'll use one of the colors I had before. So let me quickly go through this. I'll use, let's have a darker color, so I'll use this one. Put that there for now. Make it like this. So just a blank screen for now. In our panel, I'm going to add a title that will say the name of our game, Rock Warrior. Use the font that we imported. I'll make this bigger. Increase the width. Let's say 250. Height 100. And increase the font size. And align it. And put it here for now. You can be way more creative than I am, but here you can either put the text or like a logo you create for the game. So now I'm gonna add a few buttons. I think we'll need 4 buttons. So I'm just gonna design the buttons as I did before. I'll use the normal UI button and resize it, say 200 by 80, something like that. And change the button text to play. Style it bold this time. That. And change the color of the button. Then take bright one. We rename this button to make a shorthand button. Okay. Alright. Rename the text to title. Title text. Alright. So for the buttons, they'll look the same, so I'll just duplicate them and move them down. And duplicate. This one will be our options button. Options will be our help. This will be exit. Let's change the text. A bit smaller. That. This one will be help. The last one will be exit. All right. So now we have our buttons. To look very plain, but that's up to you to design. So now I'm going to start with the play button, and we would go to the on click and add, but we actually don't have our game manager script here, so I'll just create another game manager object. This side, call it game manager, and we'll attach the game manager script to it, because that script that's for menu management. All right. So now we'll go to our game manager script and choose over here. And I first have to see if there is already script for this. And but first things first, I have to add the different game panels to see. So I'll put it under here. We have every object. We'll have the options menu. Duplicate this. Have the help menu, and I think those are the only two we require. So we just have that. Now we'll go to the bottom. All right. So there is a method here called start game. And this is the method we're going to use for the play button. And this first line is just going to be used for, let's say if we have a sound for the button clicks. So you would put that code here. But for now, I'll just comment it out because we don't need it. And we're going to use a library called scene management. And in the scene management, it has the scene manager, and we load the different scenes. So the scene we're loading is the game we created. So we're going to be using the start game for the play method. And in our game, we'll have one that says restart game or new game, for example. And with that, we're going to use the restart game method. So it will just reload the scene it's on. And we set the time scale to 1 just to ensure maybe if the game was paused, so it would just unpause the game and then restart the game. And there's also a script, a method called go to main menu. So we'll just be loading the main menu screen, which we have here. So already we have those assigned. So in between here, I'm just going to add one to open the options menu and the help menu. So I'm going to say public void. I'll call it show options menu. In it, we're going to take the options menu that we have. Say set active is equal to false. I mean true. And then usually we would make the other menus set active to false, so that it hides them and shows this one. But if this menu is on top, it will just overlap it. I think I wrote this wrong. Oh yes, the method actually. So I'll just leave this as it is for now. And we'll do the same thing for the help menu. So show help menu, and we're going to set our help menu active to true. Right? Now let's go back here for this to render, and we'll assign those different buttons. So for the play button, we're gonna go here at the bottom on this side and add the game manager here. Go to the game manager script and choose start game. And we go on options, do the same, change game manager to show options menu. And over here on help, we do the same thing, show help menu. And for exit, I'm not sure if we put the exit one there. Let me check for the code. No, we don't have the exit script, so I'm gonna make it really quickly. So I'll make a new method called public void exit game. So then we take the application dot quit, and that would stop the game. But the thing about application quit is we won't really see it happen if we play it in Unity. But once we export the game, we will see that it actually does exit the game to Windows. All right. So going back here, set the exit, add the game member, and choose exit game. All right. So before we forget, let me just move up. We have to put the different panels there. But right now, we actually don't have our options and help menu for now. But let me just show you how it would work for the play mode. So I'm just gonna run our game now. So if I click play, game could not be loaded. Oh yes, whenever you make a new scene, you have to go to the build file, build settings, and when you're here, you have to add open scene, add all the scenes. So you actually have to go to scenes folder, select all the scenes and put them here. So the game should show all the scenes. But the sample scene is the one that came by default, so we can just activate that. And we have a main menu scene and the game scene. All right. So let me just save project. And now let's see if it works now. Yes. So now when we press play, it actually plays the game. All right. So now I'm just gonna go back to the or any questions before I continue. Just gonna open the game menu for now. All right, if there are no questions, I will continue. And now I'm gonna go to the pause menu and just set it active. And I'm gonna go to each of the buttons. So the resume button we already assigned. Restart, we haven't assigned yet. So take the game manager. Game manager, and restart game. The options, that's also something we need to add later on, the options panel. And for the main menu, we use the same go to main menu here. All right. So I'll just play it from this side. Let me deactivate this. All right. So I'll go press on pause menu. Our game resumes. And we just get hit to 2 lives. So if I press restart, the game starts over at 0 points. That works. And let's press main menu. And we go back to our main menu. So we see our menu is slowly working. And all right, so now I'm gonna go back to the main menu and I'll start creating the panels for options and help menu. And quickly go back to the slides. All right, so as we did before, the main menu has the title, play, options, help, and exit. So in the options menu, what we're gonna do is we're gonna have a checkbox that turns the sound on and off. We're gonna have a volume that changes the amount of volume and the music to say if you want to play the music or not, and back to main menu. You probably won't be able to actually see it working, but because of the audio issues, but we'll just still code it and make sure it shows. All right, so let me create a new panel. Let me just rename this panel to main menu panel. And now I'm going to create a new panel called the option. The options panel, I'll just make it the same color. And let me just quickly turn off the main panel so that we can only see the options panel. So once again, we have our text, options, changes. Expand this again. Move it up there. I'm going to add things we said sound. So I'll just have a text here that will also say sound, same properties. Move it to the side. With the sound, we'll use what's called the toggle, which is the text box. I mean the checkbox. Make that bigger. Toggle. Let me see how it looks. Again, it's quite a small one. There for now. I'll just duplicate this text for volume. create a slider. Bigger. Okay, 50. Something big like this. All right, and then we'll have also a music toggle. Let me just use this. Correct. Music. So duplicate the toggle. All right, let me just rename this so that you don't get confused. Text, toggle, volume, text, volume, music, text, music toggle. All right, and lastly, we need a button to go back. Button at the bottom. Text, call it back. Add increase back button. I forgot to change the color. Oh, not that one. Let me just leave it white for now. All right. So let me just quickly configure the back button. We're going to use the same one that says go to main menu. But let me actually show you a different way of doing this. So let me just remove the object. So what we're going to do instead, whenever we press this button, then we're going to all we're going to do is make the main menu panel, which is this one. Remove this one. We'll just bring it back to here. So we have to disable the options panel and enable the main menu panel. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go as we go to our button as usual. I'm going to drag the main menu panel as our object this time. Go on, zoom in, go on game object. Then we're going to set active to true. All right. We're going to add another object here. Options panel. The same way, we're going to go game object, set active to false. So that's a quicker way of making that movement. Instead of having to use code, you can use it that way. So let me go, need this for now. Go back on main menu, options panel. So now we have our thing that says show options. I'm just gonna add our main menu object here. And here I'll just make the main menu default. Since in our show options, it just makes the options panel true. So before we forget, I have to go on game manager and drag the options panel for where is it? Options menu down here. All right, let's just see if it works, if the menu management works. So options, show options. If we press back, it goes here. So if you see at the corner on this side that whenever when we press back, then it shows the different things that are enabled and disabled. So main menu management, it just works like that. You show some menus and you hide others. All right. Are there any questions on this? So I'm just gonna duplicate the options menu to use for the help menu for now. Let me just disable these two. I'm gonna call this help panel. Change this to help. I'll leave the back button similar. The only difference is, yeah, to be my help panel that I set inactive. So let me just go back here. So for our help options, we just have our how to play, controls, and credits. Like that's where you would put your own name that you created this game. You can also put my name as crediting me. And yeah, so I'll just quickly make this called how to play. Increase the width. Put on this side. I think I'm just gonna make it 3 columns. So let me delete this. Call this control. And I'll move to the side. Call it credit. All right. I'm just gonna add more text. This one here underneath. Here we can just write text, or you can have the text out, a paragraph saved somewhere else, and then you can just call it by code. But if you want to write it straight here, it's all right. So I'll just say like feed the animal and collect the fire, something like that. Change this. And move it here, increase the height, make it 100, make the width 250, which is 150. Yeah, we just move this here. Okay, that here I'll say to shoot, duplicate, and I'll just say, for example, created by Chuno Zeko. All right, I know it doesn't look pretty, but very simple. All right, so we've got our help panel. And one last thing I need to add for our buttons is just to make sure that our options panel was um, also disabled. So set active to false as well. So when I change this, I'll go to whenever delete this, hide this again. All right. So now our help button show help menu. We forgot to add the help menu over on game manager. I'll just drag this here. Okay. So let's quickly see if everything opens as it should. No play works option. We have that. Back, help. We have our help. Go back, exit. Can't really see the exit. Play. Go to our game. Let's see. Main menu. Go back here. All right. So let's add the. Now let's quickly. Are there any questions before I go to the options panel that we need to program? All right.
I don't see any questions so far, so looks fine to me.
All right. Oh, we still have a bit of time left, so let me actually program it. All right. So for the sound toggle, almost the saying that whenever you toggle it, it will change a specific function. So let me quickly go back to our game manager, and there was some script here. Let me just find it. Game. Yes, we have this function here called sound toggle button. So it's just a button used to mute or unmute the sound effects. So, and we use something called player press. It's a function that's used to just store certain values on the user's devices, whether it may be mobile or computer, and it can be simple. It's usually used to store just simple things like, let's say, if we have sound on, sound off, or the mute, or we can use it to store like the different scores you get during the game. So we could actually use that to store our highest score, for example. So in this instance, we're just changing whether it will be mute or unmute. So, but in this example, we usually use a button to turn it on and off, but in this instance, we're going to change it to a toggle. So let's go back here. And now, whenever we change the value of the toggle, it should run that function, sound on or sound off. So I'll just take the game manager, put it here, game manager, sound toggle. But we just have to change a few things here. So what we do is, what we do is we get the audio manager and turn the sound to mute, or the value of mute will just be changed to whatever the opposite is, and then it will store it. So for now, we're just gonna comment out this part of the code because we just want to change the game press. And since we have the music toggle as well, kind of the same way, so I'll also just remove the button that I usually assign to it. Just change music button. All right, so let me, where is the sound toggle? Sound toggle. Let's just toggle that. And for music toggle, we do the same. Change it to music toggle button. So now, a problem we have over here is we actually don't have our sound manager here. So what we're gonna do is we'll just use the same sound manager we used in the game menu, the game scene. So I'll just go back to the game scene, select this and copy it, go back to the main menu scene, paste it here. As you see, all the properties are the same. And there is a part in the code that actually prevents the audio manager from being, it's kind of to ensure that it's always present. And the code that does that is on, yes, over here. Do not destroy on load. So whenever you load a different scene, the audio manager will always be there. It will be the same audio manager everywhere. So the reason we actually don't need to have the audio manager on both scenes, as long as we have it on the main menu, it's fine. But because we have started with the game scene, that's why we made it there. But ideally, you don't need to have it on every scene you create, but as long as it's in the main menu, it won't be destroyed as it goes through different scenes. All right. So let me do the volume slider. Here we'll add. So what the volume slider does, let me just see if it's, yeah, let me make it a bit more prominent. Background, make it something different. That we can just see when it changes. Fill area, I'll change it to say something dark so that we can see the handle. I'll just make it something close. All right. So now let me create a function that is called each time the volume changes. And I'll do that in Game Manager as well. Let me put it close to the sound. Yes, over here. Just make something called public void change volume. And then we'll have audio manager dot instance dot sound effect audio dot volume equal to what the value of, we'll have a value called volume slider. You just import it at the top quickly. Put it here. Slider. Go back. Dot value. So whenever we change the value of the volume slider, we'll also be changing the value of the volume. All right. Let me go back here. Go back on volume slider. Select our gain manager. And we'll call the function change volume. All right. So the way we assign it is in our audio source, the audio manager, you see our volume is a value between 0 and 1. And also our volume slider is also a value here between 0 and 1. So it should change the same way. Right. So let's just see if it works properly. Go back to main menu and I'll just look here for the volume since we can't really hear the volume changing. We go to the options and just watch how our volume slider here and our volume on this side here. See if it actually works. Oh, all right. Forgot one step. I forgot to assign the volume slider itself. Let me move it here. Volume slider. And do this again. Yes, so you can see as I'm changing the volume, it also changes on this side. I'll do this again. You can see the volume changing. So now let me see toggle. And you can see when I think it does it the opposite way. Oh yeah, actually it's fine. When I take off the toggle, the music shows that we have the sound off. It's muted. When I toggle it again, the mute goes unmute. For music, it does the same thing, but as you see here, our audio clip, we have our game music that's playing, and when I press the toggle, now there's no music clip playing, as you can see here on audio clip. All right, so our options menu is done. If there are any questions if you didn't follow any of that part of the options menu, feel free to ask. For now, I'm just going to take the options panel. I'm going to copy it, and I'll use it in the game scene for the games option panel. I'll just go here and paste. Put it onto here. Of course, it's not the same as our pause menu, but we'll change it. Go here. You have to change the back button because instead of going to the main menu, it should just go back to the pause menu. So what I'll do is we still make our options menu inactive, but we have to take our pause menu here and set it to active. And now we also have to change the pause menu. Disable this quickly. That when you click the options, it should show the options menu, the options panel. So let me just move this here. Game object set active to true, and I'll make the pause menu panel to be inactive. All right. Let me just hide these for Now I'm gonna go back to the main menu, and we're gonna see if all our buttons work as they should. Let's see. I'll start from options menu. Music is adjusted. Just make sure on this side our volume changes. Mute and unmute. You can go back. Help. We just have our what the game does, controls, how to play, credits. You can go back. Exit. You can't really see it here. Now we can play the game. Pause. See our resume works. Let me just make sure again. We lost our life, so if we restart back to normal. Options menu. We go to our options. Huh. Doesn't seem to be. Oh, right. Oh, I understand why it's not showing here. If we go back to main menu. One more thing we need to do is in game, we actually forgot to on the game manager, we forgot to assign it according to this scene. So if we go back to our options panel, we need to go back to sound toggle. On value change, we actually forgot to assign the game manager method, which is sound toggle button and volume slider. Need to add this again. Change volume. And for music toggle, change that as well to music toggle button. Back button still works as it should. And I think we're all good now. All right, let me check it again from the start. Option. All right, our toggle works here. Our toggle works here. And our volume. Oh, I forgot to assign it again. Let me go back to Game Manager, Options panel, Volume slider. Got to put the volume slider here. All right. And I actually have to put the options menu, but because we use it in a different way than we did before, doesn't really matter. One more time. I think it will work 100% now. All these work. Okay. Yes, now our volume works, our sound toggle works, and our music works. Go back, main menu, and exit. All right, so we're done with our memory management. We did our help, we did our options with our toggles, slider, and music. We did our main menu, game over, and our lives. We did our pause menu. So that's technically the end. We just need to now export our game. So I know the design isn't that great for now, but now let's export the game, save project, and I'll go to build settings. So by default, we just have our PC build, but I do have for Android and for WebGL. But those are things you install on Unity Hub. So I'll just stick to PC for now, and I'll just press build and run. And usually in our projects window, I add a separate folder called builds. I'll store all the builds I have. Select this folder. And this part usually takes a while to do. So till then, you guys can just give your comments or your reviews or your questions on this workshop. Feel free. Just wait a bit. Right. Build has succeeded. Should run the game now. All right. Let's see how our game looks. All right. Now we're game developers now. Can now compete with the big names. We've completed making our game. Get this fire. Easy win. Level complete. All right. Oops. We forgot to add the functionality for these ones. So my game is actually stuck now because there's no exit button. I'll just close it quickly and add those things. In game. Oh, game over, yeah. Totally forgot about these as well. Restart. Could add this. Remove the part so it's easier to access. Right. Start game. Options. Do it our other way. Here's our options menu. Set active. True. Game over panel. Set active. False. Menu. Go to main menu. Copy. Set this. Start game. Options. Show the options menu. And level complete. Main menu. Use go to main menu. just check here again if it all works. Just get hit. It actually shouldn't go to pause. It should go to just whatever was there before. So one more thing we must change. Back, but you remove that. You have to disable it. Right. Could we get hit? Go back here. So yeah, this is just something you have to try and change. Actually, I should change it. Game over. Yes. Press Option. Don't think we need to put this. All right. That's there. All right. Check. Level complete. Back. Okay. All right. I think it works now. Probably. I shall build and run again so we can play our game. Oh, that's one more thing to put. Let me just check if exit works. All right, so exit works now that we've exported it. So I think I'm done now. You just have to fix that one thing in the pause menu, but essentially I am done. You just have to keep checking for the different bugs and see if everything works. So yeah, just need to remove this. All right, so it's all good. All right, any questions?
No questions from my side. Anyone else?
All right.
Hear me?
All right.
Wait, I think there is a. Okay, so no questions.
All right.
Anyone has questions? I guess it's no.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So, yes, thank you for attending this workshop. I really hope you learned many different things. I'll probably just take a small video of actually playing the game with some sound just to show that it works. But yeah, so thank you. Thank you to all of you who took part in this. Really hope that you can take this in mind and be as creative as you can be and even design better than I did with those brown colors that we can always polish up depending on how creative you are. So, yes, thank you for participating.
Okay. Someone is asking if you can please explain the audio manager.
Oh, all right. Like
Ralph, yes,
the
Ralph
code,
asks,
or
no, Ralph asks if you can please explain the audio manager.
all right. Sure.
I'm not sure if you meant by code or.
All right. Let me go to
The code.
audio. The code. All right. I'll start from the actual audio manager object. So usually when you have an audio manager in the game, what you have here for Unity is you need to have your audio source uh, property that will actually manage the volume, pitch, and all the different sound elements. And you would have the audio manager script to control it. So usually I I got this audio manager script from a specific tutorial I did when I started, and it said that usually this stays the same. The only thing you really change is the different audio clips you add. Like as we added the different music, game sound, and the essential things are you should have your instance, the audio manager. You should have your audio, the one that we attach, and these flags are just to say which scene we're in. But you can do that in a different way and just have a something for vibrations if you're using it, using any vibrations in your game. So for vibration, okay, these things you can set it as long as you if you want, and we just have to make sure that the audio manager is the only one there. But if we use the method that I mentioned before, destroy on load, then it would actually be the only audio manager there. So this code is mainly just to make sure of that. But apart from that, we would just we'll just be finding the audio source that's attached to this audio manager. So by that I mean this line will be checking if it has this component, this source for it. Because for an audio manager to work, you need to have that. And here, I'm just checking which scene is still in the start. Just checking which scene we're on. But we either play the main menu music or the game music, all right? And uncomment this part. So here we're just checking from the player press the last thing the user stored for the mute button. So it will just check if the game should remain on mute from how it was set the previous time or not. So in the update, all we're just doing is continuously play the music as we need to. But the main function we use is this play one shot function. All it's doing is it's getting the audio source element and playing the clip that you assign. So the different times when we assign like the animal script or the shooting or the player death script, we'll be calling this function to say play this when this happens. But you can actually get more specific by playing a specific sound. So it's quite similar to playing this, like how we would play it with play one shot, but here it would be sound specific. Here you can actually create as many sounds you want. So I can make something called a warrior sound, for example, and then we just change this clip to warrior script, for example, or warrior sound, for example. But just to be, if we do it this way, then we'd have to have a method for each and every sound we want to play, and that would just make the code longer than it needs. So usually we just use this play one shot, then you just define the audio clip you want to play, just to make it easier. Did I answer that?
Yes, you did.
All right.
Okay. Any more questions?
All right.
Cool. No more questions. We'll upload both of the videos on our YouTube channel probably by Monday. You know, because they take long to upload, to convert and everything.
All right.
Anything you want to add, Chubo?
I'll just finish creating the slide, and I'll also post it in the resources channel on Slack. So if any of you want to look at the slide, I'll just post it there.
Cool. So that's it. That's the final workshop, I assume.
Yes, for this one.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone that has made an effort in an attempt to just be here. It means a lot to us. Okay. So it's bye from my side.
Right, bye from my side.